Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sports with Mono and Mono. It's December 4th, 2021. And first and foremost, I'd like to welcome you to our first live broadcast. Our producer, Rob, is behind the curtain here. And check out the show on blackjacktv.com going forward. And
.net.
.net, I'm sorry, you're right. And thanks for joining us. I'm here with my partner, Steve.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. And again, this is we kind of been dropping a seed for the last month or so.
The big announcement.
The big announcement. Well, the big announcement's here. And we can't thank Rob enough. Rob, we met a couple months ago, and here we are doing our first show. That you could actually see our faces, and
which may break some hearts out there because the voices may not match the mugs. But how do I look? What am I going to wear today?
Right.
But thanks for joining us, and we're real happy to be here. We got a lot of sports to talk about, and we're very excited about the next step for the show.
Absolutely. So, as we always do, each of us trade off a monologue week by week.
We do.
And I believe you're up with your monologue this week.
I do. Thank you, partner Steve. So my monologue this week is Brian Kelly. And I know that shouldn't come as a big surprise to a lot of people, but it is. I sent a text when I first heard it on Monday to my partner Steve, and he said, this was shocking. And it was shocking to me for a couple of reasons. First of all, Brian Kelly, and I know people know that I wasn't a big fan of his for a while, but this was shocking for a couple of reasons. He left a lot of guys just hanging in the balance, recruits and so forth. And you know what? He decided he's taking the LSU job. And I guess my initial thought was, wait a minute. You make $50 million at Notre Dame, $95 million. So the first thing I thought of was from a classic movie clip, Bud Fox saying to Gordon Gekko, how many yachts can you water ski behind, Gordon? So what meant more? Because I remember when Brian Kelly took the job from Cincinnati, he said, this is the dream job. And I still believe that. Notre Dame is the preeminent job in college football. And he decided he's going to go to LSU. But you know what? That's his decision. I don't begrudge anybody. If this is literally his dream job, well, good luck, Brian Kelly, because you're going to play in the SEC week after week after week.
Right.
But it has a lot to do with recruiting and so forth. And I think Notre Dame made a great move by hiring Marcus Freeman to take over this role. But the timing and the way that Brian Kelly left the University of Notre Dame is deplorable. I mean, he just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, he became the all-time winningest coach. But I got to tell you, this is big. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, the coaching carousel, which we've talked about on the past couple shows. But Brian Kelly, good luck and enjoy your $95 million.
He's going to need it.
Steve, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Brian Kelly thing?
Well, for the audience, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, always have been.
We both are.
We both are. The news was stunning, I must say. Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director of Notre Dame, maybe 2 days after the move, said he's not surprised by it. He kind of read the tea leaves a bit from Kelly. But listen, Kelly's been there for 12 years. Notre Dame obviously is right there with the preeminent jobs in college football.
No national championships.
There are only a handful of schools that you make this move. LSU is one of them. Okay, but what sticks in my craw, and I've been a Brian Kelly fan, but the way this went down, it's just the way college football is. I mean, these guys are snake oil salesmen.
And if Brian Kelly wants us to believe that he said his dream job was LSU, don't buy it. Because you know what? My thought was, in college football, Notre Dame and Alabama are the two top teams that you would want to coach if you're a coach in college football.
His dream job is making $100 million. It's that simple.
Well, but that's clearly evident now, which is shocking. But LSU and Clemson, these are great jobs. And let's move into our, college football thing, the Lincoln Riley thing.
Right.
It happened as well.
Well, let me just finish Brian Kelly real quick. What really stuck in my craw, if you will, is one of the Notre Dame assistant coaches is literally at one of the recruits' house. The news comes down, and you know what the guy's telling them in the living room, and mom's baking the apple pie and the macaroni and cheese.
Now, we'll take care of your son for
exactly.
the next 4
but
years.
then the guy goes to the driveway, and that's when the news breaks, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not the first time it happens, but it makes me sick. And it's kind of started with like the Bobby Petrinos and the Jimbo Fishers, but there's no good time. So when this move happens, it has to happen swiftly. Okay. Kelly gets on a plane, goes to LSU, gets the deal done. And I don't think he was coming back until somebody got in his ear and said, you know what, you better get your ass back on an airplane and go face those kids.
Yeah.
And it was
exactly right.
And it was an awkward 9 minutes. I mean, there's a video out there of it.
Yep.
But Brian Kelly had to do that. He's gone back to Marcus Freeman, 35-year-old kid, defensive guru. Notre Dame's defense has been great all year.
Former Ohio State Buckeye linebacker.
Right. Luke Fickell was a name mentioned. But Luke Fickell is not leaving Cincinnati tomorrow, right? Because it would take a month. So especially if Cincinnati makes the playoff, we're talking he's got to stick around for a month. And Tommy Rees, to his credit, ex-Notre Dame quarterback, offensive coordinator.
Who took a beating from Brian Kelly as a quarterback.
But Tommy Rees said, you know what, Brian? My heart's at Notre Dame. Tommy Rees is staying in place. I think Marcus Freeman obviously will be the head coach for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep.
If he does a great job, I see Tommy Rees taking this program over because he's 29 years old at some point, okay? And the other news about this is Notre Dame doesn't have to go out and hire a $100 million coach. They don't have to get Nick Saban, a Jimbo Fisher, whoever's hot at the moment. Okay, so Notre Dame, I think this is a good move after after all the minutia what happened this week. But good luck, Brian Kelly at LSU.
Yeah.
He's going to have all everything at his disposal. But for some reason, I just don't see Brian Kelly in LSU.
I agree. That's exactly
the culture.
my point. That's right.
So good luck. And
but here's the thing with the timing of it all. I mean, they're still in the mix. There's still a possibility that these guys could make it, depending on the results of today's football games and so forth.
I mean, right now, as we're going live, Baylor is up on Oklahoma State. If Oklahoma State loses, the big winner is going to be Cincinnati. And obviously, Cincinnati has to beat Houston. If that happens, Cincinnati is going to be one of the 4 teams in the playoff.
Yep.
Hey guys, real quick, we have our first question from the audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
You want to know what's the elf's name?
It's Christmas time.
It's the elf on the shelf. He may be over here next week. He may be over there next week.
If that was Brian Kelly, he'd have an LSU helmet on.
Right, exactly. Or Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
You were alluding to the other big news was Lincoln Riley.
Yep.
And I think the difference with Lincoln Riley's move as opposed to Kelly is Lincoln Riley's a young coach. He's really built a great resume, but it's USC. He's married. I think he's got 2 daughters. Right, they're young. Come on. I mean, he's getting everything on the planet.
But here's
USC is one of the top 5 jobs.
And exactly. That one I don't have as much a problem with as leaving Notre Dame to go to LSU.
And already Oklahoma's losing these recruits to Lincoln Riley. The number 2 rated quarterback in the country, Malachi Nelson, is already committed.
That's right.
But he's going to have a field day.
And there were 2 other Oklahoma commits that are following him to USC. So I could see that more because USC is, but it's not Notre Dame. A lot of people say, well, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but you watch Notre Dame every week, don't you? Whether you like them or hate them, Notre Dame was the number one job, and he left
once again, huge Notre Dame fan. But Notre Dame's not going to win the national championship. They're just not. We've seen it against Alabama. Bigger, faster, stronger, okay? See, Alabama and the Ohio States and the LSUs, and now the Lincoln Rileys at USC and Oklahoma, they get the top-tier talent.
Yep.
Notre Dame gets top-tier talent, but the recruit that they'll get is ranked 122nd in the country as opposed to Saban having the number 1
I
class.
disagree because I want to bring this.
I'm telling you
this point. There was a St. Joe's running back, who decided he was going to Michigan State, and then Notre Dame came calling. Right, Audric Estime. But he said, you know what? If I'm going to play somewhere, it's going to be Notre Dame. So Brian Kelly's leaving. Listen, we don't dismiss that LSU is a powerhouse, and there's just a plethora of recruits down there. But I just don't see him connecting, especially with his fake, Southern accent, in the gymnasium, welcoming himself to LSU.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Kelly does very well there. But I'm not rooting for him now. I'm not.
Okay.
Right? And let me finish real quick on Kelly. I know we're spending a lot of time on this. There was a story out this week. So when Kelly was the head coach at Grand Valley State in it's like in Michigan or something, and Robert Saleh, the new head coach of the Jets, and his Matt LaFleur, who's head coach of the Packers, were graduate assistants for Kelly.
Yep.
So Kelly has a party at his house one night. And these guys are living, these guys are living on $7 a week.
Robert Saleh said this was taken out of context.
I know, but starving to death, and they couldn't wait to go to Kelly's house.
Shoveling his driveway.
Kelly keeps them outside, parking cars, shoveling driveways, and let's just say it wasn't a good look for Brian Kelly. It was piling on, I think, probably taken out of context, but that's it on the Kelly.
Well, listen,
it's over with.
Listen, our first segment is sponsored by Coriano Trucking, week after week, loyal supporter of the show. Right. And to Coriano Trucking from Summerhill, New York. This is our first live broadcast, so
thank you, Guy.
Thank you very much. I gotta say one thing. We're talking about college football. That Bob Stoops stepping in to be the interim coach of Oklahoma. This guy's a rock solid guy. I love it. I love it.
Bob Stoops is Oklahoma in and out. I mean, he's sitting on his couch.
Yep.
For a month just to get the boys through and get, Oklahoma's out of the playoff race now.
Yeah.
But they'll be in a good bowl game. I don't know who the next head coach of Oklahoma is going to be right now.
No, we can't.
You know what? You know who it very well may be is Mark Stoops, his brother, who's at Kentucky.
You brought that up. That's possible.
That's my guess.
But listen, this is a big day in college football.
Huge.
Alabama, Georgia. I mean, you got.
So let's talk about that game real quick. Okay. Your thoughts?
I don't bet against Nick Saban, no matter what is going on.
Okay.
So I'm going with Alabama today. I'll take the 6.5.
Alabama has no shot today against Georgia.
Wow.
But listen, if Alabama does score points and Bryce Young has the game of his life, Bryce Young is going to win the Heisman Trophy. But Georgia is just so dominant.
Their defense is dominant.
And Alabama can't block.
I just don't know that they could put up enough points to come back.
I think this is a game where Georgia just steamrolls Alabama. Yep. So Alabama will have 2 losses, and I think Alabama drops out of the 4.
Okay, so how about this? The Big Ten championship game, Michigan. And listen, first of all, we got to talk about the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yeah, we both took it on the chin.
We did.
But I stand by my analysis of last week. Until Michigan could prove they could beat Ohio State, I'm taking Ohio State every week, especially with Ryan Day we talked about.
And I'm surprised you don't feel the same way about Alabama, though.
But listen, Michigan is playing Iowa in the Big Ten championship. This is Michigan's favored. They should be favored.
They'll win today.
They should win.
They will.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa wins.
They will not win. Michigan will win the game today and move on into the final.
I'm going to take Michigan, but again, I wouldn't be surprised.
And one other game that's a big note of in the final, college football thing is Cincinnati and Houston.
Yeah. And Houston's no joke. Dana Horgeson, former head coach at West Virginia, moved to Houston. I think his 2nd or 3rd year down there.
Yep.
Houston got off to a little rocky start. I think they lost maybe their first game, they were 1-1. They've reeled off like 9-10. Yeah. They score a lot of points.
I like Cincinnati today.
I got to think Cincinnati with everything at stake for them wins the game, and I think most of the nation is rooting for Cincinnati to be in that top 4. It's a feel-good story.
Yeah,
and they'll be the first, non-power conference team to break through. So,
listen,
I'm rooting for Cincinnati.
And listen,
and I like football.
College football is huge today, so sit back and enjoy it because we love it.
Yeah.
Before we move off, real quick about Billy Napier taking the Florida job, right? So there's a lot of movement in college football coaching,
Right.
but obviously the Kelly and Riley thing.
Yeah, Billy Napier is a good fit for Florida.
Yes.
And I mentioned last week that, despite Oregon getting their asses handed to them by Utah,
Yeah, they got beat up last
again.
night.
I mean, Utah beat them a couple of weeks ago, 38-7. Did it again. So Utah is going to go to their first Rose Bowl. Utah's lost in the Pac-12 championship game 3 times prior. Mario Cristobal, I think Miami is sniffing him, and don't be surprised.
Well,
if
Oregon
that
State
goes.
offered him an extension today to keep him there, but you and I both agreed. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It sounds logical that Cristobal goes to Miami, but that hasn't happened.
Right.
So.
But I'm not sure if they're going to fire Manny Diaz. I'm not sure.
I don't listen.
But if Oregon is offering this money and Miami wants Cristobal, then the bidding war begins. And I think if the money's right for Miami, Mario goes home. And listen, he's a very good recruiter, and he was a great offensive lineman for the championship turns.
He was a great.
He was a beast, Stanley.
But listen, thanks. College football, let's move on to the professional ranks.
The professional ranks. Let's do that.
Your Dallas Cowboys, Steve. No secret, he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, well,
Took it to the New Orleans Saints. Taysom Hill, really, he's not a starting quarterback in this league. He's a good player, very athletic, but not a starting quarterback.
He's a backup quarterback. Taysom Hill, obviously, what does he do? He runs. 4 interceptions. Thank you.
But your guy Dak had the game that we'd expected him to have.
Well, Dak managed the game. It wasn't one of those 400 plus passing yards.
Yep.
Again, I say in the show multiple times, Amari Cooper. I don't understand the rap that he gets.
Okay, he made a couple of catches finally. For
he makes a couple catches every week and
but
scores
they pay him
touchdowns.
$20 million a year to make what, 3 catches?
I think Amari Cooper has so much help to CD Lamb's progress.
CD Lamb is the focus of that offense right now, not Amari Cooper.
But the Cowboys obviously went through a bad little stretch here, 8-4.
Yeah.
If we can get everybody healthy, they can make noise in the NFC.
Okay.
I think they're the most well-rounded team right now.
But here's the team I think is really starting to show, what kind of talent. This Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they're looking really, really good.
Really?
I don't know what to say.
Oh.
Outside of the Patriots and Mac Jones, who's really, really impressed me with the way he's taken over that team. What do you think? You take Rodgers or with his broken toe or in his COVID mask?
I got to tell you, Aaron Rodgers appeared on I think he does a weekly segment on the Pat McAfee show.
He does.
Right. But Rodgers has a toe issue,
Yep.
And he had his foot, a bare foot, for the camera. And Rodgers made a really, in my opinion, a funny play referencing the Rex Ryan. And Rex Ryan.
Why even bring Rex up in this discussion?
Because of the foot fetish.
Of course.
When Rex was head coach of the Jets.
Remember
the foot fetish story?
I do.
So I thought it was a great dig at Rex Ryan because to me, Rex Ryan is such a blowhard on TV.
Exactly.
And, we're not Rex guys, put it that way.
And
if you got a problem, Rex, you know where to find us.
Right. Like Robert Saleh. Like you would want to meet Robert Saleh behind
I'll take Saleh.
In a second, I'd take him.
But the Cowboys, again, the Saints are reeling 5 in a row now.
Yep.
They're toast. Kamara's hurt.
But
they got to find a quarterback in the future.
But the Packers and the Bucks, that's the one of the 2 teams that are going, not the Cowboys.
But how about this? The Saints are reeling. Peyton has been there a long time.
The Saints aren't going to be there.
How about Sean Payton to the New York Football Giants in the offseason? Once Gettleman gets fired.
Well, we know Gettleman's going.
I'm not saying it's happening. I'm throwing it out there, folks. That is a logical landing spot.
I would take Sean Payton over Joe Judge any second of the day.
I think the Giants would have no choice.
I think they're going to.
Payton wants out. The Giants is a destination.
I think Gettleman goes and Judge stays one more year, and then till a new general manager stays. So.
The new general manager is not keeping Joe Judge. He's going to bring in his guy.
Well, it's not a foregone conclusion that Gettleman's going, to be quite honest.
To be fair, it's not. But reading the tea leaves,
okay.
I think Gettleman's gone.
And listen, the Giants, by the way,
Look at the Giants' record. It's
okay.
awful.
They're 4-7. They're one game out of a
I'm
playoff
talking the
spot.
last 3-4 years. It's
I know.
awful. This is New York. This is the Giants.
But
Mara and Tish are getting crucified as the owners.
I get it, but they're used
And
to
your
it.
boy Daniel Jones.
Okay, he's got
You're
a neck
still
injury.
all in?
I am.
Got
I'm
it.
all in on Daniel Jones. I like him. I think he's the future of this franchise. And
Folks, who's been listening to the show, you know where I stand on Daniel Jones. I don't dislike the kid. There's a lot of good qualities about him. But I'm not paying Daniel Jones $40 million to be my franchise.
Okay, well, here's the alternative.
next
You
7
start
years.
over from scratch and get possibly a Zach Wilson who's not panning out like we had hoped. But I think this kid's a player. I like him.
Draft Kenny Pickett out of Pitt. Something.
Okay, there's 100 quarterbacks that you could say could take the place of Daniel Jones. I like the kid. I think he's good.
There's
He's got
100
guts. He's got
quarterbacks
talent. I
that
like
can
him.
take the place of your boy Daniel Jones. Did you just say that?
No, I'm saying no. There are 100 people that would want to take the place of Daniel Jones. This kid is a player. I like him. I'm sticking with him.
I'm not. He's not my franchise quarterback.
Okay.
And I like the kid. Good luck. Somebody will sign him. And listen, in his defense, if Daniel Jones gets a good head coach and a good sound system, yeah, I think he can thrive. But the way the Giants are made up, no chance.
Right, but you think he could thrive because he has the talent. He's
got
mobile.
talent.
He's got
Ingram.
intelligence. He could read.
He's got Galladay. He's got Kadarius Toney.
This is not a dispute. I'm just saying.
Saquon Barkley.
It's only his 3rd year in the league. We talked about Saquon. We're not going to cover that again.
Okay. Because his play is speaks for itself.
Yep. So listen, the NFL is, we're just past the midpoint season, midpoint point of the season. So there's a lot that can happen, but
I don't think a lot can happen. I think that the teams that are, the contenders have all
the Chiefs
stepped up.
The Chiefs have started to turn it around. And,
I mean, the best game to me this weekend or Monday night is the Patriots going to Buffalo.
It is a big game.
That's a great
and
game.
we got a lot of fans out in the Syracuse area and Buffalo.
And if we're
area.
going to do our picks, which I know we do very soon, we take 2 games of the NFL a week.
Yep.
I'm all in on Buffalo at Monday night at home.
Absolutely, I agree.
And
I really like Mac Jones and what they're doing, but Buffalo needs this game big time.
No question. So I'm definitely taking Buffalo at home.
All right. So our 2 picks for the week, I'll give you my 2 picks. Philadelphia is at the New York Jets, and I like Philadelphia to bounce back. I think the performance they had against the Giants was not good.
Let's
put it that way. But I think the Jets are still swallowing in mediocrity, so I don't see that happening.
The Jets are a disaster.
And my second game is Baltimore's at Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. I'm not really sold on Baltimore right now. And
you like Pittsburgh coming off of 41 to 3 beatdown by the Bengals?
I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan.
Too.
I think they'll bounce back, and I think that's my upset.
All right.
Give me your 2 picks.
I just told you I'll take Buffalo at home. And I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins at home against the Giants. No Daniel Jones, Mike Glennon. Miami.
Mike Glennon.
Miami is now 6-7. I think they were 1-7?
They're horrible.
They
Miami.
were 1-7. They're now 6-7.
I don't know if they were 1-7.
They were.
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, they were.
I just don't see Tua being the quarterback.
I think Tua has played well the last few weeks.
We have a comment. First of all, our guy Kurt, who's a part of the family and the high school show, says hello.
Hey, Kurt.
You guys will be talking soon.
Thanks, Kurt.
The high school stuff we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right.
We have another comment here from a Facebook user. Daniel Jones is 12-26 as Giants starting.
I understand that.
And this is New York.
But there's been a lot of weak spots around him. Give this kid time. When you're a quarterback in this league, you get 2 or 3 years before you can make something happen. And the Giants just haven't been supporting him. I'm sorry.
And for the 800th time, I'm not paying Daniel Jones $35 to $40 million to be my starting quarterback.
Okay. Well, it's the same predicament the Browns have to face. Are you going to pay Baker Mayfield that kind of money?
That's the Browns' problem, but that's a tough call.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield, he's hurt. I'll give him that.
He's beat up.
But
I'll give him that.
You know what? I gotta say, when you got guys like Joe Burrow now, and Herbert, for example.
Yeah, these are the young guns.
Yeah,
These are
but
the
they're
guys.
only a year or two younger than Mayfield. I think if I'm the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, I'm moving on.
So would you take Jones or Baker Mayfield as your quarterback?
Listen, if the quarterback derby and the wheel stops, and I got one of those two,
you would take Baker Mayfield.
I will take him, but not for $35 million.
But
I'll give you. Listen, I'll give you 20.
Steve, you brought
25.
this up time and time again. That's what these guys are getting right now.
The premier guy.
I wouldn't have given Dak Prescott $40 million because what has he done so far? That's the kind of predicament you're in with quarterbacks.
Listen,
in the
this
league.
is a team by team basis. Dak Prescott, they had to pay him that money.
Yeah.
I'm a Dak guy. I really am. And I've had this argument time and time again with just about every anti-Cowboy fan. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. He's probably 7, 8 right now. Okay?
Okay, but there's only 30 teams in the league. I mean, 10 is
he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, the most valued franchise in all of sports.
I got it.
Okay? So
I like
million.
Prescott, don't get me wrong, but
He's a leader, character guy.
if you're going to pay him $40 million, then Jones gets $25 million. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Another quick comment. I guess you were talking about the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Someone posted that Dolphins did start the season 1-7.
Yep.
And I think are markedly improved.
Yeah, they're 6 and 7.
Their defense is playing very
They
well.
are, and Miami is home. I don't see any reason why they don't beat the Giants and continue on.
I just don't
Are they
think-
going to make the playoffs?
But Tua is
I don't know.
not that guy that can bring this team to that next level. I'm sorry.
I-
It looks like he's injured. It doesn't look like he can throw the ball 50 yards.
Granted, Tua doesn't look like have this rocket arm.
No, he doesn't.
I'll grant you that. But I think with Tua, the sample size is too small right now. Okay, so
well,
like we got to see more.
We'll say
Like Mayfield, we've seen enough. Jones is in his 3rd year. 12. What was it? 12 and 26.
Yep.
That's a pretty good sample size. It's getting there.
but he's played 10 times better than he did his first 2 seasons, which
We
shows
haven't even
development,
brought up the
you know.
fumble. I mean, yes,
That's over, though.
but back to Jones. Yes, the Giants are a mess, but Daniel Jones is responsible for an awful lot of turnovers on his own.
I got it. I
Just
get
saying.
that. He could fix that problem, and he's working on it. I think
Okay.
he's having a good year.
Oh, is that what he's doing as he's rehabbing the neck? He's working on the fumbles on the couch.
He hasn't fumbled this year like he did in his first 2 seasons. Come on, give the
Not-
guy a break. you know?
Not to the fever pitch that
All
he
right.
did.
Let's move on to Major League Baseball
Let's
because
do.
there was a lot. Obviously, the lockout is the big news, but before that happened,
Well, we said it was going to happen, and it's
we
not.
knew it was going to
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, it's not a bold prediction. I think every sports guy knew.
But before the clock struck 11:59 on December 1st, right? The Mets went out, and like you said, Steve Cohen opened up his checkbook and gave it to Max Scherzer and said, "Write your own check." you
Yeah.
know?
Hey, listen, I said I think last week or the week before, I didn't think Scherzer was going to New York, but when you're being offered $40 million a year and you're
Yep.
37,
Yep.
and
And we love Max Scherzer, by the way.
we do.
He's
So
going
one,
to the Hall of
the
Fame.
one
no
red flag
question.
for me with Max is the Dodgers used him in the playoffs, and he couldn't come back as quick as he needed to. Why? Because there was some soreness. He's 37. There's a lot of miles on that arm, but I think it's a great move.
If the Mets can get one,
Come
two
on, you got
good
it. You
years
got
out,
it. DeGrom, Max Scherzer, 1-2 punch.
it's hard to beat.
That's pretty good.
That's the best line.
And they did a good job getting rid of Stroman. Go to the Cubs.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
But a lot of other things with this money, these guys. Simeon, he's going to the Rangers. He got that kind of money. I'm not sure why the Yankees didn't even.
It reminded me of Tom Hicks, the former owner of the Rangers, giving A-Rod that $252 million, I think, at the time. So
Right.
ridiculous.
So it's
But
all about the money.
combined with
you know?
with Corey Seager and Simeon, that's a lot.
I got to
that's
bring
a
this
lot of
up.
money.
I'm glad you brought that up because this Corey Seager thing just blows my mind. 10 years, 325.